This is the Between Mask of the Tiger Part 10. Let's do some recapping. We are minus Mags today, so just Burnwright and Mr. Goodfellow. Taking a look at the threats, you presently have 3 active threats. The Waitley camera is on the verge of having the question answered and resolved. Figs Pigs, you have resolved one of the questions. You have 2 more to do there, and you have no clues on that remaining. And the Spider Silk Seamstress, you have 1 clue on either a complexity 4, 6, or 8, depending on how you want to approach that particular threat. Taking a look at the characters, you're both in really good shape as far as conditions go. You each just have, oh no, Bernard has 2. I thought you only had 1 for some reason. But Mr. Goodfellow has 1 and Burnwright has 2, which 2 is not the end of the world. Going a little deeper on characters, though, I do feel like Mr. Goodfellow is just about, well, you're just about done with advancements, Mr. Goodfellow, and so you can start to sort of play as wild and aggressively as you wish. You still have a fair number of masks left over, though, so your character will be around for pretty much as long as you want them to be, basically. And Bernard is also getting pretty close to being done with advancements. So let's go ahead and carry on. Are there any questions or anything before we start?
I know just the Waitley camera, that's its own thing, and we shouldn't wait for Max to.
Yeah, you can answer the question, but the resolution, I'm going to handle it. It'll be a separate session. So that's how I've been running that one lately.
Roger.
But you can definitely answer the question beforehand. Okay, I think I'm ready to get going. Let's get it going. You have loads of Janus Mask, and I recommend you might be at a point where you want to start spending it a little more aggressively to get higher results on your information moves, just to push forward the confrontation with Theodora. Just FYI, that might be worth doing. So just kind of bear that in mind as well. It's the day phase. We already have 3 active threats, so there's no need to present another one. And so we'll do regular scenes. And with just 2 players, I think this will be, kind of a shorter day phase, but that's okay. Burnwright, what do you want to do today?
Possibly investigate the Spider Silk Seamstress, because we really haven't touched that threat at all.
Yeah, I can give you a reminder of some things to follow up on there. You have, about Ms. Abigail Walker of the Blue Feather Society, who gave you all this information essentially about Sir Richard, and kind of Sir Richard was courting this woman, Hazel Beaumont, who we now know is a sort of fake creature. You have been to, where her shop is, but there's also Sir Richard's flat, possibly. Those are some options as well, or that's another angle you might take.
Does this threat have a mask attached to it?
It does, the Mask of Glamour. Each hunter narrates a flashback to a time when they peered through the veil and glimpsed another world beyond this one.
Yeah, I think I'll go to Sir Richard's flat.
Sounds good. And Mr. Goodfellow, what would you like to do today?
I think I'll accompany Burnwright.
Sounds good. Let's just fast forward to it then. Sir Richard's flat. There are books and papers stacked from floor to ceiling. A nest of disorganization surrounding a large mahogany writing desk. Dusty cabinet of curiosities, artifacts from a lifetime of travel. He has a simple wardrobe of plain tweed suits, a bed rarely slept in. Sir Richard was a globe-trotting man, and this flat was just, when he was occasionally in London, he would crash here. You have access to it, though, because Sir Richard was a friend and getting in is not going to be any trouble. I do want to paint the scene, though. Sir Richard was clearly obsessed with his work. And I'll remind you that his work was, he was very, very interested in, he was specifically interested in the Fey realm and in matters related to the supernatural and occult, with a particular emphasis on the Fey. And so he kind of invited this onto himself to some degree. But in any case, the question is, Sir Richard was clearly obsessed with this work. What signs indicate he had uncovered new proof of his theories about the Fey realm?
I think he has a sort of experiment growing like in a window that faces towards the street, and like there's all sorts of plants and some of them are blooming in very odd ways. Like the colors are patchy instead of having a solid color you normally find in flowers.
Fantastic.
I think the walls are covered with scrawlings of like strange runes and pictographic figures and a bunch of strange configurations. You know, sort of like an omen sort of thing.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Well, so Mr. Goodfellow, what do you do?
I think I just go to his desk and start tossing around papers, seeing if anything jumps out at me.
Sounds good. Go ahead and do the information move with reason.
That is an 8.
Awesome. We'll come back to that in a moment. And Burnwright, what are you doing?
I am seeing the books that are like sort of stacked from like the floor, and like with how you describe this scene, I don't think there's shelves in this place because like the shelves took too much room instead of like having just books be there. So I'm like looking through the piles, seeing like what piles are used more than others.
Nice. Go ahead and make the information move with reason.
That is a 6.
Right. Let me come back over to Mr. Goodfellow for a moment. So, Mr. Goodfellow, you did find a clue. Let's talk about it. Actually, let me remind myself of the current clues that you have. You currently have a glass jar of spider husks, herbs, and human skin. Okay, so let's see what you find as you're going through the desk. Oh, interesting. You find a letter, Mr. Goodfellow, and the letter is calling off a marital engagement with the specific quote, "I regret that no worldly explanation could suffice."
Is this a letter Sir Richard received or one that he was going to send?
Unclear. Sorry, my phone's going crazy. Unclear. It's just the text.
Yeah.
It's just the letter, and it's not signed. So maybe it was in the middle of being composed. Maybe whoever, if it's coming to Sir Richard, maybe they just have a familiarity with each other that doesn't require that sort of thing. But in any case, that's what you find. And I owe you a complication. We'll get to that in a bit. I think the complication might be related to what happens to Burnwright. So Burnwright, let me take a look at my dangers. Burnwright, you are going through books. And there is one book in particular that appears to be, at first glance, it just appears to be like a children's like nursery rhyme book or like book of fairy tales, like a kid's storybook. But for whatever reason, you can't stop reading it. You find yourself like perfectly caught up in this book. I'm going to give you the condition mesmerized. It's so bad that Mr. Goodfellow, Burnwright is not even like responding to you anymore. Burnwright is just like slumped down in a chair going through this book. Mr. Goodfellow, what do you do?
Burnwright, this is boring. Let's go to the pub. And I just start waving my hand in front of his face. And I think as he fails to respond, I just start shaking him, maybe a couple of light slaps across the face. Come on, come on.
There just a few more minutes. There's something in this book. I can't quite figure it out. I go back to the book and like flipping rapidly through it.
At this point, Mr. Goodfellow, I would ask you, as a creature of the Fey realm yourself, how do you know that Burnwright is currently in thrall to Fey magic?
I think his eyes are slightly clouded over, like cataracts.
I will also tell you, just to make the situation a little bit more pressing, there is in the room now, stalking into this room, a large, strange-looking cat. It is like the size of a mountain lion, except it is very unusual. It has strange facial hair, and its coloration is slightly unnatural. And it pads out and lets out like a very threatening growl. Burnwright is utterly useless right now. Mr. Goodfellow, what do you do?
I turn to address it, and I'm like, pardon me, myself and my associate were just about to leave.
Make the day move with, it'll probably be maybe presence or sensitivity. I haven't decided, but in any case, I'm curious, what are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I'm afraid it'll pounce on me.
Yeah, go ahead and roll with presence.
Let me see if I have an item I can use.
Could be helpful.
Well, actually, I think I'll take off my glove to let the light of Apollo shine a little bit. And I let it flare in a threatening manner to show, like I'm asking nicely, but next time it won't be nice.
Oh, got it. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Oh, that's not a good roll. That is, that's 5.
Yeah, that is not good.
But you know what? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, do you want to mark up? Well, I was going to say,
Don't tell me what it looks like.
What happens is the creature, you can tell right away that the creature was clearly meant to kill whoever entered the apartment. And it leaps. It cares not about you or your connection to the Fey realm. And indeed, you will realize too late that this is, in fact, a sort of Fey court assassin, these cats. It leaps and pounces and sinks its teeth into your neck. You're not dead yet. You're going to take a pretty bad condition. I will give you one more chance to get this thing off of you, or you can put on a Janus mask.
Yeah, I would like to mark the gilded door.
Very good. Everything is as I've told you. You realize that this is a sort of Fey court assassin, but it's unclear whether it was sent like from Ms. Beaumont, or sent to kill Ms. Beaumont, or sent to investigate the situation with Ms. Beaumont. Unclear. Maybe you've just stumbled into its path inadvertently. But in any case, that's the complication, is like sort of knowing that there's something bigger going on here. And Otherwise, describe how you get the creature to back off.
I think it pounces at me, and I raise my hand, and I let the light flare like a fireball, and the force just sends it flying away.
Nice, good. And it skitters off, but you can see its strange, luminous eyes in the background, in the shadows, still keeping an eye on as it recedes to wherever it came from. Burnwright, you're still reading the book.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah. Like I think like the skittering of like this like almost fireball, it like shakes the room a little bit. I think like some like belongings of Burnwright like fall out of like his pockets because it just like shifts him in his chair, but he's still reading this book obsessively. Like I think it's like their cigars and that sort of thing. And I would like to ask it to do a vulnerable move.
I like it just kind of hanging out here in Sir Richard's. Yeah, we could do that.
With the monster in the background, that's fine.
It'll probably go away and stalk you from a distance from here on out, or stalk someone from a distance. But in any case, you might have this situation might have been shaken enough for you to close the book to at least, like momentarily, at least, not be so enthralled by it. I mean, write down your clue too. A letter calling off a marital engagement. What was the specific quote? The specific quote was, where is the quote? I regret that no worldly explanation could suffice. All right, so let's have that scene.
Like the book is closed and he's like, oh yes. And Burnwright stands up and like tries to adjust himself, and he goes to pick up his cigars and things and put them back in his pockets. But he's still like a little bit shaken because like he also has the unnerved condition as well. So this is a fun combo.
So
Mr. Goodfellow.
Mr. Goodfellow.
Oh,
How do you react, or what do you do?
I think seeing him come around, Robin just kind of harums and is like, oh, thank you, Mr. Goodfellow. How nice of you to protect me while I was busy reading my little book.
Protect me from what? There's nothing in this room.
Well, that thing, and I think I point and the cat's already gone. It was a panther, a fake court assassin panther. It was very impressive. You should have seen me.
Are you sure you didn't get into some of the stories a little bit too much, and like the window again with all those strange little plants? The book is still very clearly in my arms, and like I have a very firm grip on it.
I cross my arms, I'm like, Burnwright, do you know me to be a man of passing fancies?
I think that's the charm of you, really.
So you do think I'm charming?
Yes.
I think at that point I go up, and my hand still radiating with the light of Apollo, I stroke his cheek and I just say, Burnwright, what would I do without you?
I'm not sure. And I think at that point I dropped the book.
I'd also like to mark one of my reflections to use my custom move, Light of Apollo. One of the good effects of which are I'm able to soothe the suffering of another, clearing one of their conditions.
Oh,
So
nice.
Burnwright
Yeah.
can clear too.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. Maybe unnerved as well. Sounds good.
Yep.
Fantastic. And Burnwright, what bonus do you want?
I will invite Mr. Goodfellow to ask me a question because it's my advice.
Ooh. So Burnwright, we haven't talked a bit in a while, but how are you doing with the loss of your dear old friend?
Which one? I've been at
Your-
Hargrave House for a while.
Ah, if that's the case, then tell me, of all your friends, which was your favorite? Present company excluded.
Before Dr. Carrion, before there was three of us. It was just coincidence that we all had the same initials, RG.
I think Robin just kind of smiles at that, and he just says, "Are you keeping secrets from me, Burnwright?"
I rather. You've heard of Roger, right?
You don't have to be more specific.
Roger Gardner. He would have been known for his more appropriate title, Roger the Reaver.
Was he a reaver or a gardener?
He was more of a gardener, truth to be told. But honestly, he'd like to bury things out in the yard.
Yes, well, there's nothing quite like getting in touch with nature, with your primal self.
Yeah, he was dear to me, and then there was Rachel, who was also dear to me in a way. Then she disappeared.
Poor little Burnwright, left all alone in that big empty house.
Well, if there's nothing else, then we'll do another round of day scenes. So what would you like to do at this point, Mr. Goodfellow? You can keep searching Sir Richard's flat. There's no reason why you have to leave necessarily, but if you want to pursue something else, you can do that.
I want to try and follow the trail of the Panther.
Okay, I like that. What about you, Burnwright?
I think I'm keeping my eye on Mr. Goodfellow because, like, he seems to be insistent that there was a panther in this room.
I think following the trail of the Panther will be kind of a sensitivity thing. I don't know that it leaves like a physical trail. It might be more of like a magical or sort of like, fey, subtle fey magic trail, right? So if you want to make the information move with reason, or it might be the day move, really, truly. Let me think on that for a moment. Yeah, I think it might be the day move. I think that makes the most sense. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I'm afraid that we'll find something else.
Go ahead and roll with sensitivity.
Speaking of that particular fear, I think like Burnwright gets Mr. Goodfellow's attention. You seem a little bit off. Here, this could help. And like, I hold up the ring of Solomon, and if you allow me, I will put it on your finger.
It's not iron, is it?
No, it's not. It's some sort of silver, I imagine.
Very well then.
If you mark it, you can roll with advantage. So,
all right, I put out my hand, and out of curiosity, which finger does Burnwright put it on?
I think I put it on your ring finger specifically.
Nice. I will roll. That is 7 plus 1 is 8.
right. You will be able to pick up, especially using the power of the Ring of Solomon, which has the power to manipulate, and it's normally used to combat spirits, but I suppose that also means it can be used to find them, right? Or to pick up on them in some sense. I think that this path is the kind of path that a fey creature would leave, meaning the path is not so much like a trail or like physical footprints or anything like that, as much as it is the environment is changed in some way that indicates the presence of a fey creature, right, has passed through there. And so I would like for each of us as a paint the scene to describe essentially the environmental changes that are allowing you to focus in and figure out where this creature came from, or where it went, I should say. And I will start by saying that everyone basically, you run into a bunch of people who have just dropped something. They've just dropped their hat, or they've just dropped their bag, or they just have like they've just like lost something out of their hands. And you just see people like, you know, like you see just a trail of people like, oh, how clumsy of me. They pick up whatever they dropped. And I think that's the power of the fey creature, just causing them to drop things.
I think as we stay longer and longer on the trail, we can just smell this strong hint of musk in the air.
We travel through several like archways specifically, like through each one, like the air seems to almost get a little bit warmer.
The trail eventually ends at Kew Gardens. Kew Gardens, you enter through a gate, though importantly, not an iron gate. And there are winding paths, secluded benches. It's the kind of place where you can wander and sort of like get cut off from the world, right? It's a lush arboretum blooming with rare flowers. There's a towering glass greenhouse as well, a wonder of modern architecture. Let's paint the scene. The gardens are a world of their own, a marvel to behold. As you pass into it, what gives you the sense that you've entered another realm?
The color is just slightly off. The greens are brighter, the reds are more vibrant. But for some reason, that in this place, there really isn't any shade of blue.
I think that sort of golden late afternoon sunshine is just very warm and present. It gives everything kind of an ethereal glare to it.
So this seems like the right place. This feels like a very, very like Fey touched part of the city. And either the trail has gone cold or this is where the creature originated from. But in any case, Mr. Goodfellow, what do you do?
Can I find anywhere we pass by a fairy ring?
Possibly. I like the idea of that, sure.
Well, if we find one, I want to enter it, kneel down, and take a fistful of dirt.
Interesting. What would you hope to accomplish by doing this?
To sense if this creature had passed through here or another.
Make the information move with sensitivity.
That is an 11. Oh, actually, I have +1 to that, so it's a 12.
Oh, nice. Good. So you'll get a mastermind clue as well. Burnwright, what are you doing?
I think, like, as Mr. Goodfellow steps in like this fairy ring, I'm like, I know a little bit about fairy rings, but not in the supernatural sense. Like, fairy rings are typically they're grown where there's a lot of like nutrients and that sort of thing in the soil, and typically indicates a dead body. So I'm like, oh, Grizzly. And I think I just wander off a little bit, looking at all colors, fascinated by them. It reminds me of the little bit of the storybook that I dropped back at the apartment.
Nice. Well, so then when you wander off, what do you do? Where do you go?
Just keeping my eyes out for anything strange, just in case anyone is about lurking, stalking us.
I think the nature of this place makes it a sensitivity roll. Do the information move with sensitivity.
That is a 10, and I will spend a mask to bump that up to the 12.
Very good, very good. Let's talk about clues. We'll start with Mr. Goodfellow. Mr. Goodfellow, you pull up a handful of dirt, and I think you actually come across something that's a little bit more mundane than you might have expected. In fact, it is a severed human hand in the middle of the ring. Desiccated, but well preserved. That's your clue for the spider silk seamstress. Your mastermind clue is that the hand, the fingers are curled over a sapphire. The sapphire might be relevant to the spider silk seamstress as well, but for out of character purposes, it is a mastermind clue. So what do you do when you find this hand?
I rip the sapphire from its grasp, hold it up to the sky so the light from the sun refracts on it, and I just kind of shake my head and like, typical.
Indeed.
Yeah. And I think I just toss the hand away at that point and go to find Burnwright.
Burnwright. I think it's your day to find strange books. A child approaches you. She has a book bound in pale blue leather with silver embossing on the spine in her hands. And she presents it to you and she says, "Here, I'm done with this." If you go through the book, you will see that it is another book of fairy tales. The difference this time is that there are comments and corrections scrawled in the margins of the book. And then the little girl she has the most unusual smile on her face. It's a sort of smile that reaches the corners of her mouth, reach her ears. And taking a look at my little list here. Do you have the cosmic passage marked?
I believe so. Yes.
She says, "Sleep now." And you do. You fall asleep in the grass at Kew Gardens, and you dream. You dream of the city, of people fleeing in terror, running for their lives, screams punctuating the night air. And central to this dream is Buckingham Palace, engulfed in sapphire blue flame. Mr. Goodfellow, you will find Burnwright asleep on the grass.
You know what? It's a beautiful summer day, you know. Ignoring the fact he just found a severed hand, I think he just gets down on the ground next to Burnwright and takes a nap.
Wait, say that again, Sasha.
I think he just gets down on the ground next to Burnwright to take a nap.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. Okay. Great. That feels like the end of the day phase then. As you all nap the day away. With your clues in hand, let's write your clues down. And a dream of Buckingham Palace on fire is the last one. Whoever's on that cell, I can't type there while you're on that cell. There we go. Okay, let's go to the dusk. And today we're going to be in the library. But let's take a look at playbook moves real quick. I don't know if you really get to do day work, Burnwright, since you spent the day sleeping in the park.
That's fair.
But Ghost of Hargrave House, if you want, it's probably fine.
I think I'm going to take the opera ticket stubs for Mr. Goodfellow.
Very good. And let us take a look at the library. The library is going to be where we're at in Hargrave House. It says, of all the rooms in Hargrave House, none feel more unstuck than this one. As you enter the library, what do you see or experience that feels a little off?
I think you can never find the same book in the same place twice. No one's touched it since you last came in, but you go and it's just not there.
I think sometimes when Burnwright is cleaning up in the library, he spots a person that he doesn't recognize, and like he chastises them for wandering in, because like Hargrave House, it doesn't really have good locks, so like sometimes people wander
We're
in.
always wandering in. Yeah.
But like every person that he has interacted in the library, they insist that they are members of Hargrave House or have like friends of Hargrave House, and like they mention names, and like Burnwright doesn't recognize any of them.
Nice. Okay, what would you all like to do tonight?
I'd like to pay a visit to the Man in the Sun mask.
He's found it. He's found it in Society Obscura usually these days, but possibly in yeah, at night he might be in Limehouse. In any case, I'll let you find him. Sounds good. Burnwright, what do you want to do today?
I want to go a little bit of a hunt. I think I need to go find Patrick. Like, just follow up on some rumors I've heard where he's been seen about like a very strange person. Like, I think I'm going around the fix shop because like I don't think they would go too far from their original home.
Well, and the fig shop is pretty. We haven't done much investigating there. I think you went to like the worst place there and encountered Obert, but there's still quite a lot more to do. Yeah,
I'll go back to the fix shop. It's a very good place to go at night by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I can't think of anywhere I'd rather be. Good. Let's go to London at night.
Quick question. From the previous vulnerable move, I forgot to clear a condition. Can I take off the Light of Apollo?
I thought we decided that was permanent. Did we not?
We did decide it was permanent.
Yeah,
at
you
least
can always remove it though because of unquenchable thirst.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it means losing the light though. I don't think you want to do that, right?
I thought we said because I took the custom move that could allow me to take it off.
Oh yeah, sure, I'll take that.
But if you want to change your mind, it's fine.
No, I like it because basically it's like saying it no longer affects you negatively, right? Even though it's still there. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, so with all that said, does anybody owe Janus Mask at this point?
I do.
Yeah, what is it? Read the prompt.
It is narrates a flashback to when you were more of a family member to your employer than someone of their own flesh and blood. I think it's like a very stormy night, and like Burnwright is like tidying up the house and preparing to like go to bed when Mr. Goodfellow calls upon him, and Mr. Goodfellow typically is in his way well put together, but this time it seems like he's a little bit unsettled, a little bit disturbed, and he asks Burnwright to do something to calm him. And I think Burnwright goes to the library, picks out a book, and this time it happens to be one of Burnwright's books. And he starts to read Mr. Goodfellow some poetry to ease his concerns.
Terrific. And now the unseen. Tonight's unseen is going to be let's do third row Last one, A Night at the Grand Guignol, the Laboratory of Hallucinations. Every class of people in London is represented in the audience at the Theatre Grand Guignol. They have come to watch a production of The Laboratory of Hallucinations, a story of revenge. By the way, this is an actual play at the Theatre Grand Guignol in Paris. So just fun fact. Paint the scene as everyone, including me. I will do prompt 1. And then Chaotic, you can do act 2. And Sasha, you can do act 3. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back and do that. The Theatre Grand Guignol. As the limelights pop to life and the crimson curtain is raised, what do we see as we scan the stage that tells us this is the story of a mad scientist?
We open up to a scene of the laboratory, and like they have those, they're trying their best with the awful effects, but like they like sort of like the metal sheets where they wobble, like in terms to create thunder, and like have like and like using like light things to like conceal like candlelight to like mimic lightning in the background. It's a dark and stormy night.
I think there's a tray that just filled with like rusty blades and like surgical implements.
And I think that the many of the lanterns that are meant to illuminate the stage have they have gels on them, like colored gels, so that like some things look green, some things look red, some things look purple, you know, just to make it seem weird and eerie. So Burnwright, the fig shop, you've been down in the basement, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
And of other places you haven't been at the shop, that just leaves the front counter, the kitchen area, and then the upstairs flat that they lived in. So what do you do?
We've been in the kitchen area before.
I think you came in through the kitchen last time. Yeah.
Yeah. This time I'm going up to the flat to see if like they have any belongings left or what have you.
As you get up there, I'll give you the basic layout or just basic idea of what's up there. You know, the beds look comfortable. There's delicate cream-colored wallpaper on the walls. There's still a faint but present smell of lemon and mint. It's a pleasant space, despite the fact what we know about the family. Paint the scene, everyone. The Figs were a loving family. Looking around, how do we know this?
I think as Burnwright passes through the threshold to like one of the bedrooms, you could see like little lines notched into the wall showing heights. You see Obert and Patrick's heights.
I wonder if Patrick stopped at a certain point. Because he stopped standing up.
Yeah, Patrick is at some point, like Obert had like several growth spurts, and while Patrick did have growth spurts, it's still kept towards the floor.
I think they have like a lot of pictures from the kids when they were children up on the walls, like finger paint and that, but it's all like gruesome, horrible scenes.
Very good. So Burnwright, what's your first move here?
I'm seeing like checking out, like I assume like there's a few rooms, like the parents' room, the kids' room, that sort of thing. I'm checking out like the kids' room, seeing like if there's like anything belonging to Patrick specifically, like anything weird standing out, because like I noticed the heights of the wall, so like yeah,
Yeah.
just looking around.
Make the information move with reason.
Yeah, that's 8.
8. We'll come back to that. And Mr. Goodfellow, I'm going to say that the man in the sun mask he's in Limehouse tonight at the opium den. Jenny Johnston greets you at the front, as she usually does, and she says, Mr. Goodfellow, it's so happy to see you here again.
Indeed.
I
Is
wanted
our-
to express my gratitude to Hargrave House for helping us with that little problem.
What? Oh, right. Yes, well, let's say it was a beneficial solution for all involved.
Yes. Would you like a private cubicle?
Well, I was going to say, is our delightful friend in the mask here tonight?
Yes, he is. And she points you towards him. The man in the sun mask sees you and beckons you over.
Yeah. Thank Jenny and walk over and get in the cubicle.
He says, My lord, did you have a splendid new year?
Rather forgettable.
I'm so very unhappy to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
You know how it is. One year is much the same as the next, and the next, and the next. Nothing really changes until everything is different.
Yes, indeed. I suspect that you and I have that in common. We have seen many, many ages in our time.
Someone once told me that time is a traitor. I fear they were correct.
That is certainly a cynical view. I myself like to while away the years with the puppy. Would you join me tonight?
Need you even ask? And I pick up a pipe.
Indeed. He is a worshiper, correct?
Yeah.
I believe that's right. Yeah, because I thought that was right. That's why I was calling you my lord. So you can always give him something from your personal quarters to get him to do something that you want automatically. Or you can just pump him for information as well, suppose, or whatever you want to do. What do you do?
I say I have something for you, and I bring out a packet of stolen love letters, and I slide them over the desk to him. I say, I fear you may have missed these.
Oh, interesting. Remind me where these came from.
These, I think, were with my starting array when we were all saying what's in. I don't think we ever established who they belong to.
Yeah, good. So he will take them and he'll say, This is a marvelous gift, my lord. I shall spend many hours poring over them and feeling a most intimate connection to you. I consider it a blessing, and you have my gratitude.
You have such a way with words, my friend, but I was hoping you could help me with something.
Anything, of course. Speak it.
I had an encounter today with an entity I have not had reason to encounter in many, many years. It seems that strange things are afoot and things are here that shouldn't be. Have you seen anything amiss?
Good. And because you have him as a reward as well, he will answer with 2 clues when we get back. But for now, we go to the Theatre Grand Guignol. Jason, describe Act 1, in which a mad scientist discovers his wife is having an affair with another man. So I think that in Act 1, the mad scientist is facing the crowd and he's monologuing to the crowd. He says, "Oh, how I love My wife, she works hard every day, toiling away as a washerwoman, scrubbing her fingers raw to bring in money so that I may focus on my work. Truly, she is a saint. She is a blessing from heaven. She works and toils so that I may pursue truth. And yet I feel the need, the overpowering urge to give her a token of my gratitude. I have written for her a letter that is a deep, profound expression of my love. He holds the letter up. I shall deliver it to her in person so that she may read it. I should very much like to see the tears welling in her eyes as she is overcome with emotion, knowing that I care so deeply for her. And he goes off. And then they change the scenery to be the wife and a very, very debonair looking man. And they're frolicking and cavorting, and eventually they embrace. And the mad scientist sees this, and he reels back in horror, clasps his chest, and he drops the letter down, and he says, "What have my treacherous eyes seen? The woman who I love so well. Betrayal. How can this be? How can this be?" And then he stumbles off stage. That concludes my narration. Meanwhile, you got an 8. Burnwright, correct?
8.
You will find on the windowsill of the room that is presumably where the boys sleep, you will find on the windowsill, let me check the clues you already have. I don't want to give you something you already have. Okay. Mice skeletons placed in a row on the windowsill carefully. That's your clue. And a complication. I always have to be reminded, what's the status of D.I. Pettigrew in this campaign?
Dead.
He's dead. Okay, all right. You killed him. That's right. No D.I. Pettigrew. Instead, you will hear someone. No, I've got it. We cut away. And we see hands draped in black, sheer black fabric. Several sets, though one is draped in sheer blue fabric. And they are muttering words of power. And then you hear, Burnwright, some noise coming from downstairs.
Got it.
Mr. Goodfellow.
Got it. Oh.
Yes, I know what you speak of, my lord. There is another like you here. The veil is thinned, apparently. Creatures from the other place have started to grace us with their presence. And I know specifically the one of which you speak, the one who made a victim of Sir Richard Harlow, who was a friend of Hargrave House. I'm happy, of course, to tell you everything I know. And he will tell you the following. I know, for instance, that every night at midnight, a carriage bearing a green lantern, its window curtains drawn, rushes away from Ms. Beaumont's shop at breakneck speed. That's your first clue. The green lantern, the carriage with the green lantern. Midnight carriage. And he says, and I know as well that all of the beautiful fashions Ms. Beaumont creates, inside each of them, inside the coats of men's jackets, or inside a man's coat, inside the bodice of a dress, on the interior of a cloak, there is sewn with silver thread a very strange symbol. That's your other clue. Does that help you, my lord?
Well, my friend, you are so famous with your direct and logical expertise.
I do what I can, my lord.
Very well. I do think this presents an opportunity to us. I think the time to awaken the camera is near.
Indeed. And here he looks up and says, oh, here's someone at the opium den that hasn't come around for a good long while.
I look over my shoulder to see.
It's Julius. He's wandering in. He has the lurker in tow. His timing is impeccable. Let us go back to the Theatre Grand Guignol. Chaotic, please describe Act 2, in which the mad scientist kidnaps his wife's lover and uses an experimental technique to take over his mind.
It would be a comedic scene if it wasn't for the fact that it, like, the way that this, like, the darkness that sort of settles over like the scene is like the mad scientist is clearly like hunched over, sneaking as almost like cartoonish, just so like it gets clear across to the audience. He has this big burlap sack, and like the lover is just like, well, walking out on the streets, he snatches him and puts him in the bag, and like the scene switches to the laboratory, and like the lover's now strapped down to the table, and like the mad scientist, even though he's mad, he's still a scientist, and so he must record this new scientific process, and so he has a camera on stage and is snapping photos, even though in reality there's no photos being taken. And it's just, with each of the flash of the bulb, it's almost as a hypnotism, because the colors change rapidly. And I think that's it.
Good. Burnwright, there is a noise downstairs. The sound of metal scraping on concrete. As well, the sound of a pig. Let me see if I can make the noise. It's a sort of like kind of sound. What do you do?
I I think since my last encounter I had with Obert, I think this time I actually have brought like a very large kitchen knife with me.
I mean, Obert's dead, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we
but
know
Obert,
this.
but like, Obert has weird family, man. Like, come on,
It's fair.
like,
It's okay. That's fine. You can be armed. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm going to creep down the stairs very carefully, sneaking about very clearly.
Are you going to try to escape, or are you going to try to confront the thing?
I think I have to see the thing first before I decide to run away. Like, I'm just too curious.
You'll see it as it walks by. Maybe that walks by in the distance, horror movie style. You see at the threshold of the stairway. You see it walk by. It appears to be just a who knows who it is body. It's not unusual to find bodies here, but there's a pig head on the body, but it's moving with strange jerky motions, and it does have Obert's knife, and it's kind of moving like awkwardly, like a puppet. And out of character, we see those veiled hands moving their fingers like a marionette would. So what do you do?
I think I'm not dealing with this thing. I have no idea if I can kill it. I'm not sure even if it's alive. So as it like goes towards the back or the front, I will sneak out the other way.
Make the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I think, despite having the large butcher's knife, that's not what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that I'm going to get eaten by this thing.
Yeah, I think it's worse than that. You will get eaten, and whatever's left of you will haunt Mr. Goodfellow and Ms. Sand. Go ahead and roll with, say, composure if you're just trying to be quiet and sneak out.
Yeah. Do I have any personal quarters items? Not really. Nothing I can use in this point. That is a 10.
Nice. We'll come back to that. Mr. Goodfellow, Julius and the lurker have wandered into the opium den. Jenny Johnston approaches, and before she can even get a greeting out, the lurker leaps onto her and tears at her throat, and blood sprays as he messily bites into her neck. My lord, I fear this is about to get rather messy. Julius immediately grabs a dazed patron and bites into his neck as well. What do you do?
I think I kind of roll my eyes, stand up, and I reveal the light of Apollo, take off my glove, and just let it flare bright as day. And I'd like to mark a reflection to use my move to repel dark entities. I just say, I'm trying to have a conversation.
Very good. Is there a roll that has to happen on that move? I can't recall.
You're able to harness the.
When you let Apollo mark reflection. Oh yeah, it just works.
Yep.
Good. I like it. We'll pick up the scene in a moment. Let's go to the final Act 3. Sasha, please describe Act 3, in which the enthralled man manages to turn on the mad scientist and destroy him. The final scene should be very bloody.
Yeah, I think a few months have passed. The mad scientist has been using this man as his servant, digging up graves for their research. I think one night there's like a terrible lightning storm, and the flashes of light mimic the flashing of the light bulbs that originally entranced him, and it just breaks the spell. And this guy, screams, "You ruined my life!" Throws over some like concoctions, machinery, and a fire breaks out. I think maybe they use like confetti streamers or something to illustrate it on stage, orange lights over the whole thing. And he just starts picking up the knives from the surgical tray we established and just starts burying them in this mad scientist's chest as the curtains close on the scene.
Love it. Burnwright, please describe how you safely navigate the situation.
I think as like sort of the creature turns and is like stalking towards the front, like Burnwright just slips on by through the kitchen. I think something goes a little bit wrong as like the sort of like I think a loose pan just topples to the floor and the pig snarls. And at that precise moment, there's a crack of thunder and the pig quiets back down again and Burnwright slips out the back.
I love it. And Mr. Goodfellow, describe how you drive Julius and the lurker off.
Yeah, I just use my hands to fill the whole room for light. I think their undead flesh begins to sear and bubble from the melting heat, and they just run out of the place like bats out of hell.
Good. Fantastic. And that concludes the night phase. Let's go to the dawn. Dawn questions. We don't have the first two are not in play, but Burnwright, did you get an echo in the night? Oh, there at the end, especially with the thunder, I think.
Yeah, I got an echo.
Did you subtly express sexual desire for your employer in the way you dressed or served them?
Putting the ring on Mr. Goodfellow.
Oh yeah, I was into that. Did you have a scene showing your secret private life in London?
No, Mr. Goodfellow was following me around all day.
It's true, you were. Very good. You got 2 XP. Let's go to Mr. Goodfellow. Mr. Goodfellow, you got an echo in the night right at the end with the fire on stage. I thought that was really good.
Yep.
Did you secretly show a vulnerable side to someone?
I guess Chaotic did for me with their mask prompt, but also talking about time with the man in the sun mask.
Oh yeah, I like that. Did you let someone touch you and then make them pay a price for doing so?
I'd say with Ring of Solomon.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'll take that. Not that it matters because you only have 1 XP left, but nevertheless.
Ding, ding, ding.
Fantastic. And let's keep going. Oh, what memento would you like to claim from the night phase, Burnwright?
I would say, you know what? I'm taking Obert's like knife. I think like the creature, or even though it originally picked it up, I think it just because the nature of what it looked like, it couldn't hold it for long. So
yeah, I'll take that. And are there any Janus mask prompts unresolved?
I have 2 reflections.
Oh yeah, let's do those.
I think the first one was for me using the lights on Burnwright. So I think maybe 2 of the branches kind of start to entwine in the way you see like really older trees, like a knot almost. And the second is when I repel the vampires. So maybe some of the leaves on the tree just turn. Actually, I'll say there's now red vines growing around the trunk, constricting it.
Nice. And with that, Stars and wishes. I'll start today. I really enjoyed today's session because it felt very well, it was really fun to like do all that phase stuff. That was really enjoyable. And just sort of like exploring that kind of aspect of the setting was really, really, really cool and fun. And I think that like the Between really sings as a game when the characters are like doing the investigation, and it also sings when the characters are being like horrible, sexy monsters to each other. But your group tends to do that latter one more than the first one, and so it was fun to see your characters more focused on the investigation, which was enjoyable. It's nice to have that balance, I think. And so I thought that was really good. And I thought that night phase was very exciting. There was just so much like cool, exciting stuff going on in that night phase. It felt really good. Like if this was a TV show, people would be like really excited by that episode, right? They'd be like, "Whoa, so cool," So yeah.
I really liked the moment with Burnwright putting the ring on Robin, and also again that flashback to Burnwright reading him a bedtime story. I thought that was very in character for both.
Yeah, like it sort of overlapped with another later mask, just to like soothe your employer, but like I really do not know enough about Robin's family to like do that mask because Robin is not human, so I have to think on that one a little bit more. But yeah, I really liked being mesmerized for like a good chunk of the session.
I just like the visual of that whole scene because it was like you were so enthralled by the book that like you missed all this stuff happening literally right in front of you. Like I just thought that was really great, kind of striking sort of set piece.
I also really liked your mad scientist voice, Jason. I laughed out loud on mute.
Yeah, I feel like there's a way that like, especially like at least our understanding from like TV shows and stuff, that like back then like stage people spoke a certain way, they like monologued a certain way. So I was trying to capture that a little bit. Any other stars or wishes?
Like again, another one for you, Jason, for that pig noise. Oh God, that was horrible.
That was just on the fly too. I didn't know if it was going to work. I was like, I'll try it. Let's see how it goes. I think there's a way I could probably make it sound even more squeal-like if I practiced it a little bit, but yeah. That's the marionette version that you got. Wish, I really, well, I'll be excited to have Ms. Sand back. I'll be very curious to see if next session we trigger the threshold where we start heading towards Theodora, like we get to 15 mastermind clues. I think it's totally possible. So that'll be really fun to see. And it's maybe a session or two away, but I'm really excited for you all to resolve the Waitley camera. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah, I'll also answer the question for the Waitley camera because we've just been sitting on that.
The nice thing about that one is like there's really like nothing pressing there, right? Like Hargrave House doesn't give a shit about this actress, right? Like in Society of Skura, they're not like any particular danger to anyone, so like it's kind of just there waiting on whenever you're all ready to do it, so any other stars or wishes?
I really liked taking a nap in the gardens.
Yeah, that was good. It was an interesting, like, that whole sequence was fun. Just the whole face sequence was really fun. Had a good time with it.
Yeah, Spider Soak is one I really want to explore more next session.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I will go ahead and stop the recording.